how to be prepared, get those subscriptions in, what type of volunteers I needed, what kind of stations I did, how I organized the whole day. And then kind of some back end stuff is you're going to be getting a lot of information, emails, text, physical addresses, all that information that you can now put into your software or whatever you use to do a drip campaign to start sending out messages about why it's good to ride, any offers you have, your summer camps, your next open house, your social events, your community events. You'll have all this data, all these emails and texts to start using them to get your name out there. So now I have to figure out how to do this. There we go, planning. So first of all, what is an open house? So an open house in this sphere is basically a community event. You're inviting the community into your facility to show them what you do, what you can offer, how you can make the children of your community kind of better people, what horses are, what they can expect if they came and rode with you. So you want to, the way I did it was tailor my open house and tailor my demos to the type of students I wanted. So if you only have Tiny Tot open spots, then you're going to want Tiny Tots coming. You're going to want to demonstrate what a lead line lesson is, what a, pony ride is, what your mini breeches program is, whatever you call it. For me, it's my rainbow program. So it's that type of thing. Or if you only have 2 intermediate adult spots open, that's who you're going to want to be demonstrating just a little bit. But you're wanting to use this to get a waiting list as well. So you're wanting to open it up to the community to get all this information on who's interested. If they've shown up for pony rides, they're pretty interested in horses. So you're going to just use this to get your waiting list started, to get your open spots filled, to get your name out to the community, to get people liking your Facebook page, to get people sharing your Facebook page, to get that word of mouth going about your facility and what you can provide to the community. And the biggest thing I found when I tried to do my first one and planned my date and was ready to go, someone told me, wait, the county fair is that same day in the city next over. I was like, okay, change your plan. So the biggest thing I'd say is plan a date, but then look at your surrounding communities, maybe just not your communities, but the communities around you, kind of that radius where you'll be pulling in people for your open house. Look at it and see that there's no big conflicts. I mean, usually there's something going on every day, every weekend day for the rest of the year in your community, but you don't want to fight with any big county fairs or anything like that. I ran mine Sunday from 1:30 to 4:30. That worked best into my area. And when churches were out, when people were around, what kind of community events were going on, that worked best for me. Look at your community, you'll know it best and what time of day. And it might not be the perfect time of day, but as Brian says, it doesn't have to be perfect, just run it. Even if you just get 2 subscriptions, even if you get 20 people through, you're charging $300 a month, you get 2 subscriptions in, there's $600 a month, boom, in your pocket, ready to go. And I'll talk about it later, but you're going to have some very big time-sensitive offers to get people signed up on the day, to get their credit cards auto swiping, or at least in your system, to get all that information into your system. The next thing that really was scary for me is, how am I going to handle all these people on my property? Where am I going to park them, stuff like that. So it's thinking about your tickets, deciding how many tickets you're going to offer. And you can always up the amount of tickets you offer. I started with 150 and had people texting me nonstop if I could open up a few more. So I opened up to 250. And then I think I opened up to 300 and I ended up getting around 250. And that was very scary for me to have that many people coming through my facility. But it worked out well in that I had those early birds that were there, like lining up, ready to go about 20 minutes before the start. And then I had trickling in the rest of the day. So it worked out well for me. I did make sure I had some of the dads out there on crowd control and parking. My parking lot only parks about 30 cars. So I did the driveway as well. I used the driveway. I had signs everywhere, all that kind of stuff, where to park. My neighbor was very clear that no one's going to park on his drive. So I bought some signs, made that kind of stuff. So those are things that were going through my head. So the way I sold a ticket was a ticket per person rather than a ticket per family, because a family could come in with a grandma, a grandpa, 3 children, a dad, and a mom, and then all of a sudden your one ticket is 7 people. So that's just something for you to get your head around how you're going to run it. And then you can need to decide how you're going to sell your tickets. And I use the word sell loosely because they were free tickets, but I wanted a way to know how many people were coming through my door. So I set up an Eventbrite event. It's very easy. You can log on to it. You can do all that kind of stuff, figure out how many tickets you're going to offer. And then I use that Eventbrite link in a Facebook event. So I created a Facebook event. And then at about 2 weeks before was my sweet spot. So if I was holding it, it's actually 13 days if I'm being exact, is I only wanted 1 weekend between when I started advertising and when my event was. Because it's a free event, I found that if I advertised too early, people would get their tickets and then they'd forget about it because they hadn't paid for it. So I wanted to, and I did then, once I had all their information, make sure that they were getting reminders. And this is where Brian's software comes in really good, that you can set up some automations to remind them. Eventbrite's good about reminding as well. And you've got the Facebook event, and if they like it, then they'll start getting those reminders. But just thinking about, I'll start advertising on the Sunday or Monday. We've got 1 weekend, and then my event was the following Sunday. So just think through, if you were getting a free event, yes, it's exciting, but a lot happens. Life happens in between those 2 weeks. So that's what worked best for me. I'd open it up to those who have, at the end, who have run open houses. When did you start advertising? Did you find something different? We can open it up to the Facebook group too, because what worked for me might not work perfectly for you, but the more data and information get through on how others are running an open house, the better we can kind of create these events. And then I boosted I boosted a post on my Facebook post. I posted in all the community pages, and you do need to look at your rules to post in your community pages. I couldn't necessarily, a lot of my community pages, you can't advertise, but I was advertising an event. So I reached out to the admin and asked if I could share my event on the local community pages, and they were fine with it. So just make sure you're looking into those rules, because we all know once you get into Facebook jail, it's hard to get out. So just make sure you're following their rules. Have your some of your clients share it too, because they're not the business owner. They can start sharing their event. They can say they're going, they're excited, they're helping, kind of enlist your current clients to help you get the word out. You can do flyers depending on your community. If you have a community board down at the park, all those type of things. I'm in an area that's surrounded by about 5 different communities, and there's no real community boards. It's all kind of next door Facebook type stuff. So that's how I advertised. But those of you in more rural communities that do still have that kind of community advertisement board in the center of the town, that's something you might want to look into as well. So the way I organized everything is I had stations, and I had a passport that I designed. So I have since lost the template to the passport, but basically it was just a piece of paper with 6 different numbers on it, and each number correlated to a different station. And I'll go over all the stations after this. But at every station the kids and the family went to, they got a stamp or a sticker on their number. And once they got a stamp and a sticker on every number, they could turn in that passport and get a prize out of my prize box. And if you know children, they don't care what's in that treasure box. They're going to go to every single station to get a stamp on every single one of those to get a prize out of the prize box. And you can see examples on the right here. The prizes out of my prize box, I literally went to Amazon and searched horse birthday party favors. That top right, I think you can get for about $29. So I got 2 of those. There were stickers, there were, put the face on the horse things. There were little bags, there were keychains, there were bracelets, there were pencils. What I would do kind of next time is have a few older kid prizes as well, because you think it's just the little kids, but you get those teenagers out there going to get something free if they go get all these things posted in. So think about, some of them are into the bracelets, but what kind of other things that you could offer depending on the age group. And I just had loads of stickers in there as well. Just stickers worked really well to get a few out. And then I made sure on my passport, the front of the passport, it was just a piece of paper that you could fold in half. It was a basic brochure. The front had my contact information, my logo on it. Inside was the passport, and on the back was a map of the stations. Because what I didn't think about was, if you get enough people in, even though you have a number 1 printed out and put on the fence line, it's hard to see where those stations are and where those people are going. So I did have a big rush at the beginning, and you kind of have a sea of people asking you where to go. So the second time I ran it, I made sure on the back of my passport, I had a basic map of what numbers should go. I did say they did not have to do them in order, They could go to whatever station other than the last station first, because that kind of helped people not get in a lineup and a bottleneck going. The one other thing that the passport did for me is once you had a stamp on that free pony ride, you couldn't do it again until there was no line. So you couldn't just do your free pony rides over and over and over again. So it was a way for me to control the number of people coming through.
Would you pony go out of station?
Yes. Yep. So here are my stations. I don't let anyone on my property unless at the entrance they had signed a liability release. Nowadays with Brian's software or anything else, you could print out QR codes. You can have the link ready. You can have tablets ready where they can fill out your liability releases before they step on your property. Number one, that covers you for liability. Number two, you're gathering information. You're gathering their names, their children's names, their children's ages, their address, their phone numbers, anything you want to put in, their birthdays. Decide, you can change your liability relation a little bit or add a form at the front to get all this information. Because imagine if you had 200 people's birthdays and you could just preload your software to send a happy birthday. Here's a 10% off your next riding lesson. You've got all that information. You can now automate it. You can have this campaign going. So the biggest thing for me when I was thinking about it with the open house was this was a data gathering project for me. It was a way to get all this information of people interested in horses because they came for the free pony rides. And I now had just so much to send. It's a lot of data. It can be overwhelming. That's why when Brian does his talk about the Impulsion software and whatever software we have now, it's a good way to organize all of that and plan kind of your drip campaigns, your automations, and how you're going to use this data. So I did entryway, and then I'm going to talk about each one of these in order, but I did pony rides. I did a picture with a unicorn. I did a craft. I did riding demonstrations. Now, when my riding demonstrations were going, all other stations stopped. So I wanted everyone to walk over. We did an honor system on where you were in line for the pony rides because that got a bit long. Watch the station, watch the demo, and then you had about 5 minutes to get back into the line to start the stations again. So that way I made sure everyone got to see the demos. I could stop going around kind of being the floater and go talk during the demos, and then we can start our stations again. We did a grooming station, and then we did the last station was learn more about riding here. And that's where the kids got to pick their prize out of the treasure box. So the entrance outside the gate, so you need to set up that location, have a QR code or a link or something ready for your online release. If you want to do pen and paper, make sure you've got enough pens that are working, you've got enough clipboards, you can pass those along, that kind of stuff. Make sure you've set up your procedure, at least thought through, what are you going to do with all this information? You're going to be a little overloaded on the day, but have a plan in place on what you're going to do after you've tidied up or the following Monday. How are you going to use all this data you're getting? How many helpers are you going to need? And again, I have a template at the end that I'll put in the chat for everyone on how I decided how many helpers I needed and what supplies you're going to need, tablets for online signatures, paper, pens. Come in Florida, I didn't know if it was going to be pouring rain or sunny or hot or cold. You just don't know. So I made sure I had some tents ready for them to stand under. I had a guest list printed off my Eventbrite just to have a basic idea of who was coming. I did have quite a few people either Facebook message me or message me through the event on Facebook when I was sold out if they could still come. Now, I let them come and I had a guest list because you had someone who was willing to take that extra step to reach out to see if you had any extra tickets you could open up. Those people are definitely interested in coming and possibly going to be good clients. So I did kind of allow, I think there were about 5 or 6 that reached out after I'd sold out that wanted to come, and all 5 and 6 of those came, and I think 3 of them were the ones that signed up for subscription. So if you've got someone willing to take that extra step, it's definitely worth fitting them in. And then inside the gate, once they walked in, this is where I was standing to start until it got crazy, and then I had someone signed up after me. So you're handing out the passports, a basic explanation of what you're doing, timetables of the demos and the maps on the back of my passport. I had the map of the stations and just a timetable of when my demos were going to be running. I ran one demo an hour for 3 hours, I think is how it is. I've got that down there a little bit more. So pony rides. So you need to decide where are you going to hold your pony rides. The majority of these kids have never been on a pony. If they said they have been, it's been at the county fair where they're walking around in a circle and the pony's attached to, you know, a wheel. So I have a smaller riding arena. So I had a small riding arena that's got one gate. No one could get into that arena. I didn't want any of the little siblings running in to want to help. I set up a basic obstacle course. So my mounting block was at the gate. My table with the helmets were there. We got on pony. It's a 2-minute pony ride, really, is what I gave them. I didn't give them a full-on lesson. We halted in a box of poles. We learned how to hold our reins. We zigzagged through the cones. We walked over the bridge. It was just basically 2 poles that you walk together. You know, we did a little circle around a cone. We halted at the end where parents could take pictures of their kids on the pony. Those pictures I later used if they shared them on my Facebook page or shared them with friends and tagged me in it, they got another entry into my raffle. And I'll talk about the raffle at the end. But you're wanting to use all these people as free advertisements. So you want them, if you want smiling kids, you want them on their pony, you want them taking as many pictures as they can, because that's your free advertisement. They're going to start giving that out. Supplies, helmets, mounting block, and obstacle course items is basically what I needed there. As far as helpers, I had someone at the gate at all times, so I couldn't have kids coming in to help them in. Yeah.
For the photos that you want them to share, were you also taking photos and sharing them on your?
I had a professional photographer doing the photo with the unicorn station.
Okay.
So I wasn't taking any pictures of them on the horses. I was doing the pictures of with the unicorn, and that's another station I can go over. But that is a good idea. If you have enough helpers to be taking pictures and sharing those as well, there's another thing. The one thing to think about is the photo release. I do have a photo release at the end of my liability release. I didn't have anyone check. I don't want a picture of my kid on your social media. Those are things we have to think about now, or maybe on your release or a disclaimer. And again, you have to speak with your attorney. You say, by participating in the event, there will be a photographer and it will be shared. So there's something you're going to have to reach out to your attorneys. But that could be kind of one of your caveats to participate in the live event, is it is going to be shared. It is going to be filmed. There are going to be photographs taken. And if someone doesn't feel comfortable with that, then they don't participate in the event, or maybe you can send them something saying, you know, why don't you come for a free intro instead, or something like that? Because I didn't have anyone not click, no, don't share my photo release. And I did look at those. But a way around that, depending on how many people have, is speaking to your attorney and getting a caveat somewhere that this event will be publicized. And then it's like when you go in the county fair and they're taking pictures, that's kind of what you know, but this is on a smaller scale. And again, you don't want to, there's privacy rights you don't want to go through, and you just don't want to deal with that. So you can decide with your attorney what you're going to do with that. My next station was, is that my next station? Yep, grooming rides. No, grooming station. So I did it in the outside cross ties. So you can see right here, right behind this white horse is my small arena. And that's where the pony rides are going. So I could kind of keep an eye on what was happening over there. I had my assistant at the grooming station, and it was just, how many grooming stations are you going to have? In my barn, I have a cross tie right across from this. So I had 2 horses going. Both assistants were running it, and I had some volunteers just basic helping. And we just went over how to groom a horse, a few safety rules. I never allowed more than 4 kids on the same side of the horse at one time. You can think through your safety rules and how you're going to run that. You could do a demo of how to groom, and one at a time, they can come pick 1 foot or curry someone. So again, this is going to be on you and your safety rules and your horses and how they're going to handle all the commotion around them. This horse, Cloud, loved it. He sat there the whole day getting groomed. It was the best day of his life. So actually, he also was the unicorn. So you'll get to see that in a minute. And then the supplies, you know, just kind of think through those things. What are you going to need? Make sure you've got your 2 grooming boxes there. So you're going to have 4 curry combs if you're allowing 4 kids there, 4 brushes, a hoof pick. Just making sure your helpers are not having to leave that station to go to anything else, because you're going to have a lot of people on your property. You want to make sure anyone near a horse is always supervised. My next was a craft station. So you can see on the top, I bought those little wooden horseshoes from Amazon. I think it's $11, $12 for 50 of them. And again, I bought quite a few because I use them in camps. I use them in horsemanship. Anything I bought with the idea that if I don't use it in the open house, it will be used in camps for my unmounted stuff. I got paint pens and a table, and they just kind of started at it. The one thing I didn't do the first day is I didn't have some kind of little kid coloring in sheets, because a lot of parents don't want their kids playing with paint, especially if they're in their dresses and whatever they're in. So some just basic unicorn coloring in sheets printed out, or some more intricate coloring in sheets for all ages. And again, those sheets that you print out, you can use again. So I just made sure whatever I was printing out, I could repurpose if I didn't use it. And that was a really, really good one. Everyone loved it. I had extra horseshoes, so we did come back for a few that want to do others. I had a few that decided they were going to turn them into dream catchers. I had a few pictures of what you could then turn your horseshoes into. You could turn them into, a picture frame, just kind of that stuff to really get them excited about what they're doing on your facility. And so here's Cloud. He was a unicorn. My daughter begged and begged me to buy some hair dye for him. It was non-permanent, don't worry. We made sure it was all good. So, and it started raining, as you can see in the last picture. So some of our best pictures were standing in the pouring rain with these kids having the time of their life getting their pictures taken. So he alternated through having to stand and get his picture taken and then having to be groomed. So the one thing I was aware of is that I'm not going to have a pony that's going to stand not nibbling kids for 3 hours straight. So I did have 3 ponies that rotated between having a break, doing pictures, and doing the grooming station. The thing was, everyone wanted their picture with the actual unicorn. So he did actually have to stay out there a little bit longer. So if you have 2 white ponies that you could get prepared, even better. Or if you can put some glitter extensions in your mane, whatever you want to do to make them more unicorn-like, that was a big draw. So here's one of my clients is a photographer. So I let her set up a booth for free. So she had a QR code where they could take a picture of her QR code and buy any of the pictures that she's doing. It's a way for her to get her word out. But I did allow parents to take pictures as well. So they didn't have to buy it, but these pictures as well, it was another one of my things that I said after the fact to get an additional entry into my raffle. Share a picture with your child with a unicorn. Share a picture of your child having their first pony ride. Share and tag me, give me a Google review of the event, that type of stuff. These are all people that are going to have the time of their life, use that momentum to get you some presence, some social media presence, and some good reviews. Helpers, and then the raffle at the end. I do have a whole slide about the raffle, but I did use a lot of these pictures with the raffle if they shared them as a raffle prize as well. So here's the demos and the type of demos. So I had you can see at the bottom, I had a tiny tot and some adult open slots, and then I had some kind of intermediate slots open. So I wasn't going to go out and jump a 1.10 course because I don't have any 1.10 school horses. I'm not teaching, well, I have my horse, but he's not going to go teach school lessons. I don't let my horses jump over 18 inches. So the demos I did were the demos of the type of lesson I was going to give. So my first one was a mini riding lesson. So it was, this is how you mount. This is how you hold a lunge line lesson. This is what you can expect in your first lesson until your child is able to steer and stop safely on their own. They'll be on the lunge line. I really went over my safety rules because that's a lot of questions I get from parents is, how are you going to keep my child safe on the horse? Well, your child's not off the lunge line until they can demonstrate that they can stop and steer. And then you can start talking about your curriculum there. I had an example of my achievement book out showing all the things they have to accomplish in the first level to be able to ride on their own. So then you start bringing in, what kind of levels-based curriculum you use. You can say, your awards days, your certificates you give out, all that kind of stuff to really pull in those sports-minded parents as well that can see that this is actually a sport that your children can climb up the steps. It's like karate. You're going to get more, more certificates, more colors on your belt, however you do your levels-based awards. Then I did a beginner intermediate lesson, basic walk, trot, canter lesson with the poles. And I only did about 5 minutes. This wasn't a full lesson. This was a snapshot of lessons with me talking what we were going to do. And then I just did an intermediate jumping lesson. So it was a basic course. I think I had crossroads and a short stirrup line in the center. So depending on your discipline and what you can do, you can divide out how you're going to show it. But it was really an eye-opener to the parents and the kids that would maybe, what am I going to do in my first lesson? You're giving them that sneak peek of what they're going to do. They're getting excited. They're going to get to do this at one point. And then they're much more prepared for their first intro lesson. And then the final station was learn more about riding hair. So well, the children or whoever wanted to get, I had quite a few teenagers who wanted to get their prize. Once they're looking through the prize box, I start talking about riding at my barn. This is where you need to be prepared. You need to make sure you have your welcome packs printed out or some basic information sheets, your time sensitive offers ready to go. I did 50% off the first month in this subscription if they signed up that day. I also did 50% off an intro. Yeah, I did 50% off either, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'd want to do a higher percentage if they signed up for the subscription, because then you're hooking them in for the month. So you can think about what logistically you can offer. And it's hard to give 50% off, but you're thinking about this is 50% off money you weren't going to have anyway. These are people coming in. So that's just think of it as extra money. And if they're hooked into your subscription, if you're on a quarterly basis, it's only 50% off that first month. The second and third month, they're up. Or it's your intro lesson. So you can do your intro lesson at a discount. You can decide what you're going to offer and have it ready to go. Make sure you have enough printed paper if you do paper and pen, enough tablets, enough phones, whatever you're going to use, however you sign up people to get their credit cards on file right then and there. I had a big whiteboard that I just used to show my open spots. And what I did is I had open written everywhere. And then I started writing everyone's names as people were coming in, and that shows your scarcity. I only have this many open slots. So everyone walked past the door. I was, had it right there, what open lesson spots. And as you came through in about an hour, about half those slots were taken. Half those other slots were taken. Now I did in my back pocket have a few extra spots I didn't put up there for people that really wanted it, but you want to show that scarcity. You want to show that you better get on this list and you better sign up now, or I can't guarantee I'm going to have a spot for you. So it's just really thinking about kind of everything that you've learned in this program and how to do that. So that was my lesson board ready to sign up. My line got really long. So I ended up having to do this, stand up in front of everyone, talk to everyone and get them signed up. So at that point, I did have 2 floaters walking around that could come and at least talk and sell the program. So I had 2 parents that had been helping me talk to families walking around that could come up and say what their child's learning from the program, what the importance of signing up in the program is, how their child's a better person from riding, all that kind of stuff ready to go. You could even have some QR codes if you had people. I did have a few people that had to leave. So I did have just handout. I just did have a basic, you want more information and you want me to call you this evening to sign up. I had that ready. So have something ready to gather that information. If you have someone ready to sign up, but they have another commitment, how are you going to get their information? Ideally, you'd get their credit card right then and there, but you at least want to get their information before they leave your property. So you've got their information up front. You can get their name and find it with your liability release. But I just had a basic clipboard that was handing out for those that had to leave a name, what you're interested in, and phone and good time to call. And then you can follow through with those. I did have a goodie bag. So I had goodie bags ready as well with a basic business card, peppermints for them to have and for them to feed the pony the next time they came out. So you want to, again, get these kids wanting to come back out again. You give them a cookie to feed a pony, they're gonna want to come out again. Biggest thing, and you go to stickeru.com. I said, mine was I rode a pony. So this is an example of my sticker, but I rode a unicorn better. Do whatever you want at Opportunity Farms with my phone number. I had 3 people call the next day that had seen that sticker on a kid. One was at the park, one was changing for swim lessons after they'd been there, and one was at Publix that had seen the sticker and called to find out more information. I don't know, for those of you that have kids, once a kid gets a sticker on their shirt, it's not coming off until you've at least washed it twice, because and then there's sticker glue everywhere. And if nothing else, that parent's gonna remove that sticker and see it and say, oh yeah, I was gonna call. They have your information. And I ordered 500 of these, and every intro lesson after that got a sticker, because it's just free advertising. You put a sticker on a kid that came out doing introduction. Even siblings who didn't actually ride wanted stickers. So put stickers on anyone you can. Those stickers stay on the shirt because kids go to parks, they go to other events, they go to the shopping mall, they go to the store. The parents see it when they're taking it off the shirt to do laundry. So again, just think through all these things that you can do that are fairly low cost for you that could have big return. So sticker U is where I got it. I've had a lot of people ask me about where I got it. So that's why I put it up there. And I will share the slides as well, this presentation. So you've got all this information. And then raffle. So the one thing I didn't remember to put in here is so what I did is I did a raffle for a free month of lessons. So free month of lessons. They knew exactly how much that cost. They knew what they were going to get because they'd seen my welcome pack. They'd seen all my information around. To get one entry, you had to like my farm page. You had to share a photo of your child on the pony and share the page with friends. And it's a little tedious having to like make sure everyone's done it and that kind of stuff. But there you've gotten more likes on your Facebook page. They've shared a picture and tagged you in it. I think they had a share and tag Opportunity Farms in it. So their friends saw their kids smiling with a unicorn that actually had rainbow hair. And then well, how can my kid do that? And little side note, it doesn't wash out for about a month. So you can do unicorn pictures for a while. And if you have a horse show the next week, maybe not the best idea. It was supposed to be washing out, but it didn't. But it worked well because I had many kids come and ride the unicorn in their actual first intro lesson. He didn't have his unicorn horn on. I said that only comes out special times. You can say whatever you're going to say. And then I let them know that I would be doing a live drawing on my Facebook page within a week, within the next week or two, I think I said, that they needed to like my page to know who won. Okay, then you've got them there. And then I scheduled a post every day until I did it 7 days later, because that just worked in my mind. They didn't know it was going to be 7 days later. So they're not just coming on Sunday to see who wins. A post every day. So the post on Monday was give me a Google review, get an extra entry into the raffle. And something about what horses teach you, empathy, a testimonial from one of my clients, and their kid was shy and unable to talk in group situations, who's now leading a horsemanship class. And then I share my page, you can think of all kinds of things, share another picture, post about the event, any of those things where they can get more entries into your raffle. You do have to come up with a system and how you're seeing how many entries they have. I just had a spreadsheet and every entry got a number and then the numbers correlated with the person. And whatever works best for you. And then come up with a live, cute raffle drawing. So the little kid that was in the rain with the pony, she put her unicorn onesie on that has a unicorn horn. She was standing next to her unicorn horse. And we had numbered, it was like numbered carrots. So I had carrots all broken up with numbers on them. He picked one out. I got it quickly before we knew what he was eating. That number correlated with who won. Just decide what you're going to do. You can do apple bobbing. You can do just a cute kid picking one out and screaming about who won and trying to pronounce their name. You can think about whatever is going to get that smile effect, get that effect that you're wanting to see what horses can give their kids. And then after the drawing, I set up some more posts on my Facebook page with some more time-sensitive offers. Maybe I had one time I did say, I'm going to give out another free month because there was so many people that shared such lovely words, such good reviews with me. I'm going to do another drawing on Wednesday, and then someone else got another free month. Yes, that was money that wasn't necessarily in my pocket. You can decide what you're giving out, but just the advertisement and the word of mouth I got from it. And both of those people that got their free intros signed up for subscriptions. Because if you can get them on a pony, and for all of our programs are pretty good, get them on a pony riding once a week for 4 weeks, get them on your curriculum, knowing that they only have 4 or 5 more things left to get that first certificate, they're going to keep riding. So it's just thinking through that. And then I did time-sensitive offers. Now that I had all this information, you'd be the first one to get a special pre-sign up for my camps. You've got all this information. Thanks for coming to the open house. I'm having a social, I'm inviting the first 10 people to reply to come to my unmounted horsemanship. Those types of things where you can just get people back in, get 10 people to come to your unmounted horsemanship. You're already running. You're already there. It's not any extra time of you. Get those kids in a group atmosphere, learning about the social aspect of horse riding. That's not just getting on. You can get some more people to sign up. So it's just thinking through that. And anything else. I'm sure we can put it out there of other things that everyone's done to use that information. Actually, don't know how many slides I have. Other things. There we go. So I have a big open grass space behind my barn. The one thing I didn't mention is my barn, you kind of walk in the entryway. To the right is all the arenas, and to the left is my house and the pastures. I didn't want them going to the left, so I built a little wall with jumps. So no one was ever going to go to the left. I kept everyone over to the right where we could have eyes on somewhere. And behind the barn, I did some yard games. You have your Connect Four, you have your horseshoes, we had a twister game, we had all that kind of stuff. The more you can show these families that this is a community, a barn family, a good place to hang out. There were no screens involved. There were kids smiling, happy, having fun. Music going, invite some of your food trucks to come. I ended up having my food truck back out on this last time, the last day. So I ran to Costco and got bags of chips, sandwiches, and granola bars and juice boxes. And I just did donations. So I just said, because these kids are going to get hungry. They're going to be thirsty. I had a little box, give a donation for whatever you think it's worth what you just took. And I ended up breaking even there. But it just, again, it was keeping the kids happy on my facility. Swag. I don't know what I meant by that, but swag. So do you have any extra hats? Do you have any beanbag ponies that you want to sell? Do you have any bracelets? Do you have anything with your logo on that you could just have a table ready to sell some stuff? Nothing else. Is people wearing your logos out there. Make sure enough table and chairs. We had a lot of grandparents come as well because they wanted to see their kids on uniforms, and we needed to make sure we had a lot of seats, covered seats, that kind of stuff. The snack bar, and then I had an extra goodie bag station as they were leaving. So if they didn't get their goodie bags when they were up at the front learning about riding here, they had another goodie bag. Anything they had that took my information home was something that made them want to come back, whether it's horse cookies. Peppermints is easiest because you can go buy bags of peppermints. Let them know you can feed peppermints to ponies. We don't actually feed by hand. So we had a little bit of we had a bucket that we fed on the ground for that. So here's my open house template that I will put in. I don't know if you can kind of read that. I will put in the chat, kind of with everything we just talked about. This was kind of how I decided how many helpers I needed. I had 2 helpers here, and then the changes in the end are things that maybe I would do next station. This was for my first one that I ran. How many horses I needed, who was going to do parking, who was going to do floaters, what ponies were going to do what in their first, second, third hours, who was going to do pictures, if there was an extra pony, kind of list to do, what I wanted to do after, what I wanted to do before. For my volunteers, I ended up getting, and I think it was stickyou.com as well. I'll have to find it, but you can get little name tags that have your logo or name on it that are dry erase. So you can use them for any volunteer you have in the future. So everyone got a name tag with their name on it, and they all had, we do ball caps, so everyone had a ball cap, and then within our ball caps, every pin you have on your hat is a level that you've passed. So they had to wear their ball caps, and I got some t-shirts. So everyone who's volunteering for 3 hours got a t-shirt. You can decide what you're going to get, but just something where your volunteers will stand out, that they're part of your community. I had a lot of parents that volunteered to just come and talk to the other parents. I mean, what's better to hear from a mouth of a parent that's riding with you what horses have done for their kids? And you can see that a lot of mine was towards children, so it was focusing on those parents. But it's just thinking through how you can use all these people and what you can give them and what you can get from them. And if nothing else, you're getting a list of data for summer camps. You're getting a list of data where you can offer 10 free spots to your next horsemanship clinic. Things that you're doing, or, you can decide you've got their birthdays, give them a 10% off coupon for their next intro. Obviously, you're going to have to keep track of who actually signs up or not. So there's going to be a little, organizing your data here. But bring a friend, and a lot of you can bring a friend to the horsemanship. Have a social event where you're meeting at a horse show. You can really think through kind of how you can use this information. But the biggest thing I take out of it is it's not that hard to organize. You just need to, I used Amazon, use Dollar Tree, use whatever you want. The biggest thing is make sure you've got some helpers in place. We did a pizza party the night before. So I went to Costco and got 2 big pizzas and some bottles of water and some Coke. And we planned what everyone's going to do. Everyone knew where they were going to stand. We got the station set up. a way to reward your volunteers as well. Because I do suggest doing this every quarter. So doing an event. Now, at a certain point, I'm on a waiting list right now. So doing an event for me doesn't work right now. But I continue to use that information to have people come to my unmounted days or social events, just kind of to keep word out there, because you want to keep your waiting list long and robust, and you want to know when they entered that waiting list, so that when you do have some turnover, you can quickly fill those slots as well. So it's kind of an easy-ish way. It's not, I hope it's not as overwhelming right now, thinking through how you could do that. It took me one day to organize and buy everything, and another 2 nights. One night, my assistants and I got together, planning it out, and then one night, the volunteers and I all set everything up. Then they were all there, and then it's cleanup afterwards. But you've got to think of everything you can get from that. So that's my suggestion. Run an open house. Run it quarterly until you've got a waiting list. You can run it exactly the same. You can change up the stations a little bit. You can change up the crafts. You can do the ops course the other way, but they're going to continue to come even if they've come once. And like Meg said, you kind of people need to see things 7 times. They need to come. So if you've got this information, you start sending them. Even if the first 5 emails are crickets, that 6th one is, oh, we now have time. I want to ride with you. So the biggest thing to take out of the open house is you're exposing yourself to the community. You're getting word of mouth, free advertising, and the data you need to continue growing. Does anyone have any questions? No? All right. There we go. Oh, yep. Janine.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Are you sharing like your slides as well?
Yep, I'll put the whole presentation in the chat so that we all have that. And then you'll have the link to the open house planning template, and you'll have all that in there, and those links to where I bought the stickers and everything. Perfect. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wait, I didn't do follow-up. Sorry. Back up 2 steps. I had one more slide I completely forgot about, but this is just stuff we talked about in follow-up. You'll have it. I sent handwritten letters to everyone with another peppermint. These parents, if they didn't like sugar, didn't like me. But, you know, another cookies to be their favorite pony, schedule texts and emails. And again, this is all stuff you can do with Brian software. You know, send out emails about events, camp, start of new quarters. You could email what kids, you can do the 100 things horses teach kids and plan posts and emails to go out. Schedule Facebook posts with your other open house and featured events, and get a sign up of those who want to be on the early release tickets for your next open lesson slots or your next open house or your next camp. Get all those people that want to be on the early release list they're going to know that they're getting a deal or getting something offered before you're full. Those are all things to use. All right, now I think I'm done. Yep, I'm done. Perfect. All right, thank you.
Did you do this for your very first building involved? Did you already have students?
I did already have some students, yes.
You wanted to bump up?
Yep. Yeah, so I did have students, but I wasn't full at that time by any stretch of the imagination. So I did this to fill my open slots and to start a waiting list. So when I already had an instructor that I was training, but I needed a way to fill her roster fairly quickly. So at the end of this event, she had 15 students, and those 15 students paying me at that time, I think it was $350 a month, paid her salary. So it's worth doing this.
You were doing it yourself before you hired the trainer. In other words, you wouldn't have done all of this if it was just yourself.
No, I did it when it was just myself as well. My first one was just myself, and I had, I'm guessing at numbers here, but maybe 10 students, and I needed more. And then it showed me that with a very small amount of actually output on my side, I could use it to get more people in the door and just increase community awareness. With the number of people around you that have been looking for a horse riding facility forever, and you're right down the road, they're going to see that community event.
So the lesson that you had set up, what did that look like? Was it for like a month?
It was just a big whiteboard, and I had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday times down. I had names of the current students because I wanted to show that I am fairly full in black, and then in red I had tablet open in some open slots.
And those are the slots for the subscription, so if you, that was a slot for all 4 weeks.
That was an open slot, yeah.
3 months.
Yes.
3 months, you're putting them in.
Well, I was booking them into it depended on how they did, but that was, the way I do it is your intro lesson time is also an open slot I have for subscription. So if you come for your intro for Tuesdays and you like it, you just stay for it Tuesdays. So that works well for me because I know that is a time within their schedule that they're currently open.
So like some people like, well, I'm not sure if what they were gonna be doing, like, all month, because well, let's just set up an intro lesson before.
And if it's someone like that, I use the tactic of, well, the intro lesson is a good way to see if you'll be a good fit for our burn family. So then I'm saying that I'm interviewing the student to make sure they will work well into my program. That gives me a little bit more quick from the parents. Oh, wait, I don't automatically get to come right here. You know, that kind of stuff. And you can have your responses planned based on the type of parent. And you kind of can guess your types of parents that you have that are going to be asking you questions.
That's something that I would talk about. We know that this, if a parent asks this is the response that I'm ready.
Play devil's advocate, write out everything you think a parent would ever ask or say and come up with an answer. You can post it to the Facebook page if you want, you know, others' answers. But it is just, excuse me, coming up with a well-worded answer that you can stand behind, because you don't want to be making up an answer on the spot, because at that point you normally are going to be saying, oh, I wish I hadn't said that. So in that case, you know, I do say that's a great question. Let me think about it and I'll get back to you at some points, but hopefully you have your answers kind of pre-worked out in your head. And that's where playing devil's advocate does help. All right, Brian, on to you.
That was really, really good. I
Thank
know
you.
she was kind of like, you know, just rattling that off real low key, but that was like a really next level marketing tool. If you guys actually put that in. I think with these tools, you can really control, like, it should be sort of a game of, I think the 3 hard things for a lot of you is it should be a game of opening up more quantity, right? Where you open that up with, you either have a bottleneck with riding instructors, lesson horses, or arena time, why you can't offer more spots. And so you kind of play this game where you can do stuff like that and really have as many people as you could possibly fill. So right now you run into this game where you're opening up quantity, and then you do something like that and you fill all your quantity and you have a wait list.